Welcome to the S.J. Child Show, where a little bit of knowledge can turn fear into understanding. Enjoy the show.
That's fine.
How it always works, I think. Under pressure. Oh, right. Any questions for me or anything before we start? And
I don't think so, unless you had anything specific. I kind of listened to some of your other podcasts. It seems very informal and
they're just
conversation.
Yeah,
And
pretty casual.
Our book out, so I probably want to talk about that.
Excellent.
And we have like a course too that I have a code for, so your listeners can get $50 off.
Oh, nice. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. All right, well, let's start this then. Okay. Thanks for joining the SJ Child Show today. I am excited to have this conversation with Amy Weichel. I am meeting her. We had to reschedule, and we'll talk about how life comes up and it just can get you sometimes, and you need to make arrangements and be flexible with things. So thank you so much for doing that for us. And I'm so glad to have you here today.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm really happy to be here and have this conversation with you.
It'll be a really great conversation. I think we have a lot in common that we can draw from this conversation too, which is always fun because it can be so bantery and everything. I love that about podcasting. Tell us a little bit about yourself, an introduction, and what brought you here today.
Okay, so my name is Amy Weichel, and I am a child of God, first of all, and wife to Derek. We have 4 children. The oldest is 13. He's a boy. And then we have an 11-year-old, 9-year-old, and 8-year-old girls. And so we also homeschool. And so that keeps us very busy, keeps me very busy. We do a lot of independent learning. So my goal is more to teach them how to learn so that they can learn throughout their life rather than just me always dictating, which, I used to be a teacher. So it's been a learning process for me as well. So we kind of all learn together. And we a few years ago, my husband and I founded Faithful Parent, which is the organization that helps encourage families with intentional parenting, kind of gives you a plan for doing that. We want to promote intentional parenting, not just for this generation, but also for future generations, and how Christian parents, especially too, can keep their children focused on Jesus for this generation and also the next generation and future generations.
I love that. It's so important to bring a wide variety and intimate variety of things topics to our families. And then it's so nice to see the fruition that it brings to them and to others that they enhance their lives with in the future. How did you guys decide to go on this path? What was kind of your vision?
Yeah, so what kind of starts 15 years ago when Derek and I got married. We got married, and he's an orthopedic surgeon, and so he was in residency at the time. So we got married. We were living in Tampa, Florida then, and he was very busy. We decided, we want to have kids. But we don't want just, we want to be the best parents that we can be for our kids, So, we just, we want them to be well-rounded and smart and intelligent. We talked about these kind of things. And so we had children in Tampa, and Derek was very busy, like I said, and we had no family nearby. So as we started, things just, we got into survival mode right away with a little one, and I was still working for a year. I didn't decide to stay home till after my son was 1. Our son was 1, and then I stayed home. But I was still helping out at the school I had been teaching it. And so it was crazy and busy. And then we had another baby while we were down there. We had our second, and then we moved to Nebraska. So that was kind of a long move. I think it took 2.5 days to travel with all the kids. And Derek actually couldn't move with us because he was studying for his board exam then. And so my parents and Derek's parents actually came down to Florida and helped us move. So it was just a very big process and a big change. And then a few years later, so about 8 years ago, when our youngest was born, we had 4 kids, age 5 and under. And I was in total survival mode. We were just kind of, okay, we got, everybody was fed today. They're in bed. They're getting some rest at some point today, maybe not through the night. And it was just a lot of, crazy survival
Chaos.
mode, like chaos,
Yeah.
and we still had these goals for our kids, of being well-rounded and stuff. And it just didn't feel like you had the time or energy or space to be really intentional. And we went so far as like, when you're a parent, when you're a new parent, you want to do, you don't really like kids don't come with a manual. So you're not like, oh, okay, this is what I do now. So a lot of times you fall back on what your parents did or what your friends are doing. And but we kind of so that's kind of what we did. In fact, we were sending, because Derek is from Nebraska. And so we kind of moved back to the same community that he grew up in. And we were sending our kids to the same school he went to. So they were basically like, we went to the same church that he went to. Like we were doing all the things like how Derek grew up. So it was a little bit different for me, but it was, the same kind of path.
Yeah.
And not really intentional at all. And so then we just, we were, on this unintentional path. And then the other thing that we were kind of, you hear of kids who their parents have done all the right things, send them to the Christian school, bring them to church, and they end up not staying in their faith. As they get older, they fall away and they never come back. Like some people, they'll fall away for a while, come back, but it seems like the trend seems to be more and more, they're not coming back. They're just staying away. Yeah. And the church is not something that they're interested in anymore. And so, that was kind of concerning to us, and we started thinking, what can we be doing that we can help, from an earthly standpoint, help our children stay close to Jesus. And, but, we were still in that survival mode and still not really knowing where we were going to go with things. And we have a life on air coach. So he does some like life coaching and helping us along the way. And so we were kind of talking to him and saying, we want to be a little bit better with parenting. What are some things that we could do? And he said, okay, well, what's your plan for parenting? Mm-hmm. And we're like, a plan? Like we never even thought, like
we're winging it, man.
Exactly. And so we're just, surviving, winging it, doing whatever. And we're like, oh yeah, we need a plan. And so then we're like, okay, well, how do you go about creating a personal, like a parenting plan for your family? And so Derek really likes to research. So he's on the computer researching and, I'm like, I've never heard of something like that before. And we looked and then we found nothing. We found nothing on parenting plan. In fact, when you look up parenting plan, you find out about, it's like another name that they use for custody for children from divorce.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
right.
Plan then, but not when you have your family. So we went through the process of developing our own family's parenting plan so that we could be more intentional in our parenting and stay more focused, keep our lives more focused on Jesus, and point our children to God. And then we wanted to become more connected too. And so that was kind of woven into our parenting plan. And so we decided to go through that process on our own. And then, so we developed our own like written out parenting plan. It has different things on it, like our spiritual, like what is our plan for our spiritual development of our family? What about the health of our family? What kinds of things are we going to do? Technology use, what are we going to do for that? Just a lot of different things. And after we developed this parenting plan, some of the results were like immediate, but some like took a little time. And after now looking back, we're like, wow, that was amazing that we did this because, our family's closer together. We're closer to God. We're more connected. We have a lot more fun because we're not worrying about all this other stuff. Like we have a plan. So we're just kind of following that. And, you adjust it too. It's not like it's set in stone. So then we're more intentional with things. And it's a lot easier to choose activities to do because we're like, oh, is that part of our plan or is that not part of our plan? So we don't find ourselves getting too busy doing too many different things. And so after we did it, some of my friends were kind of like, you guys are different, and a lot of people were like, they're like, well, this, you don't understand this because you don't have these issues. And I'm like, well, we did, but then we did something about it. And so, we thought it's helped us so much. So we decided, this, other people need to hear this message. Other people need to be more intentional and have kind of a plan for doing that. I mean, you can say, oh, I want to be more intentional, but without a plan, it doesn't
no
happen.
Accountability, no measurability.
Exactly. Right. So we wanted to help other people. So then we came up with a system. So then for those people who are looking to be more intentional and have that less crazy and chaotic life, busy life going on, and they want a more peaceful, connected family life that is closer to God, we kind of took the plan or the system that we used, and we developed it into like a planner system. And at the beginning of it, we have people evaluate their strengths, weaknesses, and family culture. And then we have a 7-step process from that is called with the acronym STEWARD. So it's STEWARD. And so just real briefly, the steps are: S is for seek God, T is for target and trajectory, E is explore options, W is write it down, A is action, R is review and revise your plan, and then V is to direct others. And so that's a lot of information, but maybe just focusing on like one little bit of it right now is kind of like focusing on, say, family culture. So one thing that we talk about with family culture is, okay, what is accepted in your household and what's not accepted? And every family has a family culture, but is it the one that you want? Yeah. And so you take a look at what kinds of shows are we watching? What kinds of books are we reading? What kinds of media are we letting into our house? What kinds of decisions are we making? Are those in line with what we want, or is it not aligning with what we want? And so that's some of the things. And then what are the routines? What activities are we doing? What are some of the routines we do? Do we have family dinner time together? Otherwise, like, what are our priorities? Are the priorities we say we have, is that what we're actually doing? Yeah. And then just kind of looking at maybe generational patterns too. Like, are you just doing what your parents did? Is that what's best for your family? And then, evaluating the choices that you're making. So just a little bit about family culture, one of the aspects that you can look at in our program. And then another thing, we also have a book out about it too. So if people would rather read a book, we have A Chance to Change is what it's called.
I love that.
And it's just a Christian parenting book.
So interesting. I know a podcaster in the UK, and I think that is either like his tagline or something. Oh, really? Is a chance to change. Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah. And then, so it's written as a fiction novel, but it makes it easy and enjoyable. So you still get the lessons, but it's for a lot of people said, like some people that we asked, some of our friends that read it said, it was a lot more than I expected, because they just were expecting like a fiction novel, but it really, like, they could relate to it. So it was relatable and allows readers to reflect on their own family and how can they make changes in their family, rather than, it's not judgmental. It's just, and it's kind of more of a framework, because each family is different. There's no family that's the same. And if you want to change the world, you really have to start with your family. So starting with your family, and then it just kind of expands from there. So those are a few things. And we also have our online course too, kind of coincides with that. But, if you just want more information, we have a lot of information on our blogs and our, just free information. In our course, it's all kind of organized together, but just even the blog posts and the videos that we put out.
So great, aren't they? Yeah. It's so nice to go somewhere that has the content you are looking for and be able to search for articles, blog, videos, like you said, that really relate and are easy to create tangibility in your home. Because there's one thing to have great ideas, and then people are like, but how do we start? Like, what do we do? So I love that you have that that acronym actually, because those are really, really important steps to take. And they really help you harness that. Number one, writing it down. Thank you. Okay. It's a great talking. It's great. But when things are in writing, and even I'm sure that, we're doing this for our preteen right now, and that is a contract for phones and social media time and things like that. And I think that seeing that written form and really understanding the purpose of those contracts and keeping your word to them and the consequences that come in chance of them not happening and things like that are so important in real life skill building in the future for our kids.
Yeah. And then just even like you said, like being able to go back and look at it too. Like, what did I sign my name to? What did I say I'm going to do?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, now what do I have to hold myself accountable for? Right.
I sometimes do that with my like goals. Like I'll have a goal for the week because as our family at our family meeting, we have goals. Like each of us does like, 3 or 4 goals for the week. And I always like a couple days later, I have to go look at the sheet. Like, what did I say I was going to do? I didn't get it on my other list.
Yeah, I've been working on laundry and dishes and all of the other things we have to do. Those aren't the goals.
Right.
Let's talk about that. Tell us about what kind of goals are you making for your family on a week? What was last week's goals? Can you, if that's not too intimate?
Well, we were gone last week, but
that's right.
Before that, we did goals. So for our kids each do 4 goals, and they have to do one, like a health goal.
Okay.
So what kind of fitness? A lot of times they're saying, oh, we're playing outside. They do a school goal since we homeschool. So they have, usually we try to convince them to or try to encourage them to maybe make it more than just like, oh, I read for 10 minutes this week or something,
exactly.
Like make it a little bit meatier. And then they do a fun goal. So that usually involves, for our youngest, it's her tablet time, or she's going to do her tablet for, they have like 30 minutes of screen time every day, and that is cherished time for an 8-year-old. So
yes, isn't that the truth?
That's her fun.
And do you adjust the time in their age groups?
We haven't, but our son, like kind of what you were saying with the, because our oldest is 13, so we haven't done a contract, but I was like, that's a really good idea. But
isn't that great? I love these mediums so we can learn from each other and get great ideas.
We talked about it with him, and that was kind of one of the things we had put in our parenting plan was for technology use was when would they get a phone? And so he just got a phone at 13 when he turned 13 in May. And so then he's able to not like it just kind of sits on the counter. It's not like he can take it wherever. So we talked about it with him beforehand. He pays for 25% of the cost of it every month because he doesn't have a full-time job, but he mows the lawn a little bit. So he does get some income. And so he pays about 25% of it. And then we have 30 minutes per day for all of the kids, but then he can, check stuff on his phone for an additional like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But the nice thing is, you can check screen time on a phone. And so we can go back and look and then you can see what he has actually been doing. But really even just having those conversations too, like, just telling him stuff like, there's pornography out there. There's people that are going to be even our youngest, for a while, some of the apps that they like to go on, we say, if there's like an open chat or something, you don't talk on those. And they know that, and they're kind of watching out with each other too, making sure. They'll talk about, oh, my friend was on that and we were trying to tell her to get off of that. You're supposed to only do private chats on it, and just having those conversations and like I said, just being intentional about it, not just giving them a phone and saying, here you go. But because I kind of went back and forth with that too, because I was kind of the like, wait till the last possible moment for them to get a phone. And I know a lot of my friends are like, oh, not till 16, not till 18, or, they're trying to extend it longer. But at the same time, we went, Derek and I went to a conference once and they talked about with the kids, like, let them get it when they're still in your household. And then you can, teach them how to use it and kind of use those parameters. And you can get, different technology blockers or whatever, so that, monitor what they're doing on there and stuff. But also just have that conversation with them, because otherwise, if you don't let them, then they're going out on their own when they're 18 and
It's true.
who knows what they're doing with it
Yeah.
because they just weren't taught. So,
No. Oh,
so
it is so, so true. And, you know, coming from someone who has a 23-year-old and then, you know, a decade later having the other two, she's my stepdaughter. And, but just the ability to look at the things that happened when we took it away without kind of guidelines or boundaries and just made it like a punishment tool, if you will, that wasn't right. It was not the right choice to make, and it created a lot of sneakiness. And unfortunately, she went around our back a lot and got phones from other people, and then we just had no idea or no access or no nothing. And we didn't find that out until, you know, years and years later. So now with the other two, I agree with you that now it's like, okay, let me teach you how to use this correctly. Let's put the like boundaries and and things down. And I will admit that for our youngest, there was such a period of time where there was so much trust and so much growth and everything. In my mind, it stayed that way. Unfortunately, things changed a little along the line. And then I had to really like reassess, wait a second. Now I need to reassess boundaries. I have to retake some of this freedom I've given on this trust line that, you know, has just been overextended. And I don't think I think that it's a learning lesson for all of us. And that's why I said at the beginning, you know, there is not good parenting. There's bad parenting. You don't do that. But the good parenting comes from just being parenting at all, just being a parent. And it might seem like a great idea to you, but you can't always like adjust to what every single child, how they're going to react. They're, you know, kind of what they're going to take away from it. And so, yeah, it's hard to individualize yet keep the same boundaries going.
Right.
Lesson learns.
Sometimes you just gotta learn things the hard way, though. And then
isn't that the truth? Well, you can offer other people good advice through that too. That this went horrible. Please don't try this. Or if you try this, look for this. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just kind of like with kids too. Like sometimes, you know, you can teach them all that you want, but sometimes they just have to learn it the hard way and then, you know, follow through with the consequences or whatever.
Yeah. My husband has an analogy that parents are like the bow and children are the arrow. And we can craft them beautifully. We can be crafted beautifully. All of it can be amazing. But once we let go of the arrow and release it into the world, anything can change its trajectory. Wind, a rock, a person, an animal, anything can change its and we have to, at that point, understand that we put in everything we could. And it's the arrow's journey from there, not ours. Yeah. So isn't that like it's big. It's bigger than us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of times in like parents in our culture, they kind of like want to control everything but you can't. You really have to kind of teach them basically to one day leave. So and so it's hard, especially when they're really little. You're like, what? They're going to be leaving one day, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to believe that.
Like already I'm like, wait, how did we end up with a teenager? And then there's another one coming shortly after, because there will be a point where they are all teenagers at once. And I was like, And everybody else kind of says that to us, like, what? Oh, you're going to have some rough years and stuff. And so sometimes part of this intentional parenting too is blocking out people that are saying that. Cause I'm like, okay, it might be, but like, I don't want to already prescribe like, oh, they're teens. So I'm already going to, you know, treat them this way, or they're already going to be this way. I'm going to, because I'd say our 13-year-old, he's really great. Like I enjoy hanging out with him. He doesn't mind hanging out with us. Like, and it might change as he gets older, but I think he's just, you know, it's part of our family culture that we do things together. And we've also done one of the really neat experiences that we've done as a family is we go on these international volunteer trips. And that has been incredible. So any parents, I would highly encourage you to do we go with an organization called Globe Aware, and they do all. I mean, we just donate the money for the cause, and then it's like an amount per person, and then they take care of everything. They have like a coordinator there, and then they take care of the activities you do. And it's kind of like you do some sightseeing too. And so our first one, we did that when our youngest was 2, and we went down to Peru and we built mud stoves there because basically, like, you don't think about that here in America, but they have in their homes, their stove was inside. And so they're pumping the smoke into their house. And so to have this mud stove that's like piped out is incredible for their health. And so we were able to do that. Like, we actually helped, the kids are out there like helping, the 2-year-old, she kind of stayed out of the mud because I wasn't sure what she was going to do. But we also it was a very rural community in the mountains there. And we also got to meet, like, there was like a preschool, kindergarten school there. And so the kids were running around with other kids from Peru there. And our son, he got to play soccer with them. And the girls got to swing on the swings they had there, and we gave them apples and toothbrushes. And you would have thought it was Christmas. They were so excited and so grateful to get that. And just, that was so meaningful for me and Derek, but for the kids too. I don't think our youngest remembers Peru, but even just, she has that culture of like, oh, this is what we do. We go on these trips. And I know our oldest, he remembers that. And he remembers playing soccer with them. And he remembers, hanging out with the kids. And
you can draw a lot from that in his lifetime, in diversity and inclusion and all kinds of things. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then just being grateful for like what we have to, like, we came back because they don't have we didn't have very hot showers when we were there, and just coming back and having a warm shower, I was like, wow. And just, even the bathroom cleanliness, like anything like that. So those trips have been really impactful. We've gone on, I don't remember how many, 6 maybe. And so those have been, and it's been great. Kind of, our family culture. That's part of our family culture. It's part of creating those connections with our kids and as a family and those memories too. And then when we come back home, I do like a photo book. I usually use Walmart or Shutterfly or something. And so the kids, even to this day, they'll get out the stack of books and they'll flip through them and they'll remember, remember when we did this in Kenya and we were building mud houses there. And so it's very, very amazing. So if any families ever have the opportunity to do it, I highly recommend it for just so many reasons. And Global Wear has been great. And I know that there are other organizations out there, but we've really appreciated them. So.
Oh, I love that. What an amazing way to give to your family too, if you can, and being able to immerse them in all of those other cultures and things. It's just so special. How about language? Do they have interests in language now?
Well, they think everyone speaks Spanish because the first ones that we went to, like, so, we're walking along and I can tell it's like German or something. They'll be like, so they're speaking Spanish. Or like when we went to Kenya, they were speaking Spanish, they said. And I was like, no, it's like Swahili.
Yeah.
So
cute.
So that's what they think. But I think they are interested. Like, I think all of them kind of want to learn Spanish and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think especially as my son is looking at high school, because we're going to continue homeschooling through high school. And so he's looking at like different languages and we're just looking at the program to use for that. But and like even just the one challenge was definitely when they were little was the food because it was so different. So we'd always pack a lot of snacks, but we'd have them try it. And our son, he does not like rice and he doesn't like beans. And that was like all they had in Peru. So once in a while we found
lots of tortillas.
Yeah, they did have like bread with like every breakfast they had bread, maybe breakfast and dinner they had bread for us, and so he had a lot of bread that week.
Well, gotta fill up on those things. That's funny. Our son is, and he would be such a perfect international traveler, only for his academic knowledge, not his social dilemmas. But he speaks 130 languages.
Wow. That's
Yeah, and I kind of joke with him, being autistic and semi-verbal, that he couldn't have a conversation in English, but he could hear you speaking in German and know what they were saying.
yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes if we go downtown or something and he'll see old churches, he'll say, "Oh, look, that's written in whatever Greek or whatever it is in that it is." And he can speak it, he can read it, and he can identify it. Like if he saw what it was, I'm not necessarily sure that he could like have a conversation with anyone ever with about it, but if he saw somebody, like there's been times where he's like, "Oh, that's right, my father was a general in the Air Force, and so he world traveled a lot for of those reasons." But we just went to my grandfather's, who recently passed, and we're going through all of the coin collections and the money things, and my dad had sent my mom's father money from every country he ever went to. So we had this book of all of these different bills from all this different money, and so we were having my son go through it. "Oh, that's German, that's from the Netherlands, that's from here, that's from there." So fascinating.
That's
So
very cool.
maybe we'll get him out in the world someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Well, where can we go to find this amazing information, this parent plan and course, and your book, and find out more about it? And you said you had a copy?
Yes.
You don't really have to. It's totally fine.
There.
Hey, there we go. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. So this is the book, A
Love
Chance to
that.
Change. And we have a website. It's faithfulparent.org is our website. We also have social media. We're on Instagram at Faithful Parent Mom. And then we have a Facebook account. And we have a lot of blogs and resources on there for free, including a family huddle guide that you can sign up for, and then you can get that. And then also we have our Faithful Parent Academy, which is our course that kind of coincides with the book, and our information kind of wraps everything all up in one course. And then we have a code for your listeners, a coupon code that if they are interested in buying it, they can put in the code SJ50 and get $50 off the code, or off the parenting course. And I think that's mainly it. Like I said, like all of our stuff is in our blogs and our website, and there's a lot of information there. And we also have any podcast episodes, so yours will be on there too.
Great. Yeah. I know. I love that about being able to share the information, with your audience and my audience, and then we can just reach so many more people.
Exactly.
Amy, thank you so much. You and Derek are really doing great work, not only for your own family, but for so many other families that want to join that journey and have something intentful made for their family. So thank you so much for all you guys are doing.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's been so fun to talk to you and get to know you.
It was really great. And I hope we can stay in touch and, shoot back some ideas back and forth when we need to. We always need extra parents in our parenting pocket. Yes, of parenting network, right? That is for sure. So thank you so much for joining me today. And we will make sure to go and visit you, and SG Child's 50 code on their website, which is Faithful Parenting. Is that correct?
Faithfulparent.org. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you.